Sabertrio Arclyte versus Ultrasabers Apprentice LE-V4 and Initate V4. So all of these three sabers are stunt sabers, and I thought I'd do a comparison video for you guys of the Arclyte, since it's a pretty new saber company, and let's just see how it compares to one of the more established companies, some of the more established sabers, like the Apprentice LE-V4 and Initate V4 from Ultrasabers. You'll notice right away that all three of these sabers look very similar. If you didn't know any better, you'd maybe even think they were manufactured by the same company. But when you start looking closer, you'll notice some different details, and that's what we're here for. So, starting with the overall design, the Arclyte, there are two main design options. There's this two-tone version that I have, and there's also a solid black version. In addition, they have a weathered version as well. With Ultrasabers, for their Apprentice models, they have both a solid black version, which is Dark Apprentice, regular metallic version, and that's called Apprentice, and then they have an LE version of each of those, which is a two-tone version. So this is the Apprentice LE, two-toned with kind of this these golden marks to it, and the Dark Apprentice is two-toned more like this. So the added elements are metallic, while the dominant color, the hilt, is black. And the same goes for the Initate models from Ultrasabers. So you do have more color selections that way. Ultrasabers doesn't offer any weathering options like Sabertrio does with their hilts. So moving up to the Emitter, you'll notice that the Emitter is two-toned. It has kind of these rings to the top of it. The Ultrasabers hilts, both of them are much more solid here, so that's kind of a difference. Moving down to the switch. So what's nice about the Arclyte switch is it's recessed. So it's not only an AV switch, which a lot of people like. AV switches are kind of nice and quiet, and they have a nice smooth look to them, but it's also recessed so that you can't bump it quite as easily. Now, Ultrasabers offers two types of buttons on their stunt sabers. The default button is the guarded switch like this, and if you want an AV switch from Ultrasabers, you have to pay an extra $15. So, and this is what it looks like as well. You'll notice that the Ultrasabers AV switch is popping out of the saber rather than recessed like the Sabertrio Arclyte one. Moving down to the grip, so you'll see all three styles of the grip on the lightsaber are very different. The grip on the Arclyte is a knurling grip, very, very nice, easy to grab, and these two style grips are different on the Ultrasabers one. This just kind of has a bunch of grooves, and the Initate V4 kind of has fewer grooves. But one benefit of the Initate V4 grooves is you can kind of add some O-rings or decorative elements to them. Moving down to the bottom of the lightsaber, so you'll see that the Arclyte comes with a CoverTech wheel, and that's totally standard. That's not extra at all. For Ultrasabers, well, neither of these hilts that I have are installed with a CoverTech wheel. If I wanted to add that to my order from Ultrasabers, that would have been an additional $14. So it's possible, but it does incur a premium charge. Finally, moving down to the pommel. So the stunt sabers from Ultrasabers come with a solid pommel like this, standard, and the Sabertrio pommel is, for this two-tone version, the pommel is also two-toned. The Ultrasabers LE versions are not, they're not two-toned. But in addition, the pommel from Sabertrio is a vented pommel, so if you wanted to go back later and install sound on your saber, you could do that and use the same pommel. Now moving to the battery pack, let's take a look at that on Ultrasabers. So the battery pack, if I can get it out, it's pretty easy to access. It's held together kind of with this Velcro piece in the center, which attempts to keep the batteries in place, but other than that, it's loose and it can kind of rattle around when you're dueling. Now, it's very different with the Arclyte saber. the battery pack is held very securely in here. I can actually only extract the battery pack if I unscrew this screw that also holds the CoverTech wheel in place. So I unscrew that. That kind of unlocks the battery pack, and you'll see it's contained within this chassis, so an extra protective layer to it. And then if I want to get the battery pack, I just kind of have to pry it out of the chassis a little bit. It slides out, and then I can access it in the same way as I can access the Ultrasabers battery pack. Now moving up to the top, so you have the blade retention screw here for the Ultrasabers lightsaber, and that goes for both of these models. Similarly, the blade retention screw hole is right here on the Sabertrio Arclyte. Now you'll notice there's another screw right here, and this is actually to hold the LED module in place. So that's, again, really nice. It prevents just some of the internal pieces of the lightsaber from rattling around. And Ultrasabers, by contrast, doesn't have that, so sometimes this LED module can kind of move around a little bit. See, when I'm shaking it, you can hear it moving around. Now finally, talking about the overall experience, so Sabertrio is based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Their shipping is probably going to take a bit longer for most people, and it's going to cost a bit more. If you get an empty hilt like this, well, just the hilt rather, without the blade. It does still have the LED. Anyway, if you get one like this, it cost me $25 to ship it, and if I had gotten the saber with the blade, that would have been an additional $40 to ship it, so that's a little pricey. Ultrasabers, that's going to depend on where you're shipping it to. In the US, a lot of orders, if you get maybe one saber, it could be maybe 10, 20 bucks or so, but it really kind of depends. So shipping from Ultrasabers is likely going to be faster and cheaper for you. As far as the cost of the saber itself, now that's going to widely depend on which features you get. So if I get just this hilt without the blade from Sabertrio, that's $62 from their Etsy store. If I get it with the blade, that's $69. So if I factor in shipping, without the blade, the total was $87, and with the blade, it would have been $109. By contrast, with these Initiate and Apprentice models, if I get the total base models, then those will run $59.99, but if I wanted to get some of those upgrades that I talked about, that'll really increase the price pretty quickly. AV switch upgrade, for example, is an additional $15. If I want to add the CoverTech wheel, that's an additional $14. So all these little add-ons can add up quite fast and put your price right around the same point as the Sabertrio hilt. So anyway, that's just kind of a quick comparison of the Sabertrio Arclyte to some Ultrasabers models. And final thought, they're both, they're all right around the same length, little over 10 inches long. They're kind of a nice one-handed saber, more of a one-handed saber for most people, or maybe a two-handed saber for kids. But if I had to choose, and I've had Ultrasabers for a while, you guys, but if I had to choose among these, I would definitely recommend the Sabertrio Arclyte. The quality and the craftsmanship you get for this price point is spectacular. Just all the attention to detail, everything being held in place, even something as small as the recessed AV switch. Just lots of care and attention went into this hilt, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorite lightsabers, if not my favorite. So anyway, that's just a quick comparison video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it.